Welcome to Thought for the Day on Thursday the 19th of May. The reading today is from Numbers chapter 13, verses 1 to 3, and then 17 to the end, and it is taken from the English Standard Version of the Bible. The Lord said to Moses, "Send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the Israelites. From each ancestral tribe send one of its leaders." So, at the Lord's command, Moses sent them out from the desert of Paran. All of them were leaders of the Israelites. When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he said, "Go up through the Negev and on into the hill country. See what the land is like, and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? How is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees in it or not? Do your best to bring back some of the fruit of the land." It was the season for the first ripe grapes. So they went up and explored the land, from the desert of Zin as far as Rehob, towards Lebo Hamath. They went up through the Negev and came to Hebron, where Ahiman, Sheshai, and Talmai, the descendants of Anak, lived. Hebron had been built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. When they reached the valley of Eshcol, they cut off a branch bearing a single cluster of grapes. 2 of them carried it on a pole between them, along with some pomegranates and figs. That place was called the Valley of Eshcol, because of the cluster of grapes the Israelites cut off there. At the end of 40 days, they returned from exploring the land. They came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite community at Kadesh in the desert of Paran. There they reported to them and to the whole assembly and showed them the fruit of the land. They gave Moses this account: "We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit. But the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. We even saw descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites live in the Negev, the Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites in the hill country, and the Canaanites live near the sea and along the Jordan." Then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, "We should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it." But the men who had gone up with him said, "We can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are." And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, "The land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." The Israelites have been brought out of Egypt. They have crossed the Red Sea on dry land. God has shown them the way with a pillar of cloud and fire. He has given them rules to live by and structured their society. He has fed them on manna and quail. He has made water flow from the rock. He has been present with them every step of the way. But it was never only about leaving Egypt and escaping slavery. It was always about where he was taking them. the land which I am giving to the Israelites. The journey was less about where they were coming from than it was about where they were going to. The promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey. So now they stand on the very brink of the promised land. At God's command, they send in 12 spies to scout the land, and they return with some of the fruit, and it's impressive. Consider a cluster of grapes that takes 2 men to carry it. It is so much more lavish and abundant than they could have imagined. But there are obstacles to be overcome. The cities are fortified. The people are giants. Indeed, if they are to live in this land flowing with milk and honey, they will have to fight for it, and the Israelites are afraid. All of the scouts had the same facts, but they came to different conclusions. Only 2 of the 12 saw the promise. 10 of the 12 saw the opposition. Only 2 of the 12 looked forward, while the others looked back to Egypt. And I wonder which camp I would be in. Which camp would you be in? I would like to think I'd be raring to go, to grasp what God has promised, to face down the opposition with faith, knowing that if I step out on the path that God has set for me, I cannot fail. But in truth, I am much more likely to talk myself out of it, to see the obstacles and decide that this can't possibly be what God has planned, to turn away if it looks like it may be difficult. The truth is that all of us want it to be easy. We want the abundance, but we'd rather not fight giants to obtain it. We want to take hold of the promise, but we want it to be risk-free. It seems to me that there is a promised land for each of us, a future full of abundance and goodness beyond anything we could imagine. Attaining it requires us to look forward rather than back, to risk stepping out of our comfort zone, to put our faith in God's plan instead of our own wisdom. Lord, help me to not be afraid of the future, but to step boldly where you take me, however difficult it looks to me. Help me to see the promised fruit and trust that you will give me the strength to overcome the giants. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed day.